to go on?
We're severely stretched now. Now, the trial court building, which is a huge project, that's taking everybody. And we'll be doing the trial court building for another 2 years to get it in. We've had some staff working on the EOC. We hope to go out to bid for that in first quarter of '24. So there are other projects. As of here recently, I met with the county engineer, and she's requesting additional staff, even with what we have now. So I think going forward, we're either going to have to do this or we're going to have to hire additional staff.
I understand, and hiring staff can get a bit costly. All right, the last thing, I was looking at the addendum that came out in it. One of the questions that was asked was, will the selected firm be precluded from submitting on capital projects led by Chatham County? And noticing that we have ACOM and A.J. Russell, whose reputation, I might add, precedes them. I understand these to be top organizations, have done great things, not only in the community, workforce development. And so this is no slight to those organizations whatsoever when I'm asking this. But do they know that they won't be able to bid on these projects? Or will they? Because
That
based on
is
the
true. If they design the project, they cannot bid on it.
If they participate in any way in a project, they won't be able to bid on it.
bid on that
Now,
project.
that wouldn't preclude them from other projects with the
Right.
county, but if they have any participation, any connection with any of the projects, they won't be able to bid on it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all I have, and just hearing that team, though, I will, as a point of order, ask that the chairman recuse himself from the vote based on one of the team members also. But thank you.
All right. Commissioner,
My question was, if that firm is selected, all of those sub people come with it?
Yeah, they'll be using them on different projects. They wouldn't use it on every project. They got all these disciplines that may or may not be needed. But each project will be negotiated, so
Each project will be negotiated?
right. So we'll know what teams are on the negotiated projects when we actually negotiate them. But all these, they have a lot of partners in this. All of them will not be used for each project.
That's what I was thinking. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Right.
when you started the list.
Yeah. But they don't know what they're gonna be doing, so they list all the people that we potentially would use.
Okay, I'm good. And you saying that the engineers have expressed a need for some support?
Or additional help, and like I said, we'd either have to hire additional people or bring on some additional resources to help us get these projects done.
I don't want none of my stuff not done.
I've heard that loud and clear from a number of commissioners, so we understand.
Thank you.
all right, Commissioner Lockett?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say this to the group, that we want to make sure we have
That's a bunch of bones.
local and minority participation.
That'll be discussed when all you're doing today is just authorizing us to start sitting down and negotiate a contract. And we'll bring that back to you, and each project that they work on, we'll know what the fees are, and they'll be negotiated and come back to this board for approval.
I just want to make sure we keep it on the table. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Farrell?
All right.
Sorry, I went blank.
I would think that we have, well, I know we have our own engineering department in-house. And my preference would be that if the workload gets to the point where they have to add personnel or they have to subcontract out to another engineering firm a project, which I think we've got plenty of history of doing that in the past, that we should probably go on a case-by-case basis and let the engineering bring us this corporation or that corporation or the other that could help move a project along, rather than just have a whole nother engineering firm on our payroll. At this point, I'm not convinced that this is, in the best interest of moving projects forward. I would rather see, I'd rather see a case-by-case basis with, you know, as the project comes up, a vertical project, a recreation project, whatever project, that we just, you know, if they need to bring it in, and they've already got a lot of experience doing that, and it seems to have done a good job. If they need more personnel, then we'll consider that on a case-by-case basis. So that's all I have.
That's all, everybody? Yes, ma'am.
So I just received this information here, that it seems that one of the people on that list of that team was your campaign manager, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But he's not working for the county. He's working for them.
I just
So
want
you
to.
can't exclude him because he was my campaign manager.
I just
They
want to
already,
take
they already
knowledge of it.
vetted those
Po-
things.
Point of
all right?
order. Mr. Chairman, I'm not asking that he be excluded by any means. I'm just asking that you recuse yourself from this vote.
Well,
in
I'm
lieu
not.
of- Due to the conflict of interest.
It's not, no conflict of interest, and I'm not.
Mr. Attorney, can you give us an opinion on that?
There's not a pecuniary interest between the chairman and this gentleman unless he's still employed as a campaign manager. If he's-
And I don't have a campaign manager because I ain't campaigning.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
That's really, if you're gonna talk about strict conflict of interest under Georgia law, they search for the pecuniary interest. Now, if the chairman was voting on a contract and this guy was.
The prime, right.
Had received money indirectly from the chairman, then yeah, you'd have a problem.
What do you mean, if he received money indirectly from the chairman?
Well, what I'm saying is if you got almost an employee basis, or you got a situation in which the chairman got an interest in a project, then yeah, he's got a conflict there, because he's gonna receive a pecuniary interest, he's gonna receive money. And that's the strictest of that. So that's kind of where it is for the most part.
Gotcha.
Now, at the same time, if the chairman chose to do that, he could obviously do that. He'd have to state why he's doing it, and then y'all have
Right.
to vote on it.
I understand. Thank you.
All right,
So
call
can-
for the order today.
Can I ask about what's the ethical part of that?
What do you mean ethical?
I mean, is it ethical that you bring on a team and have a part of your campaign?
Sure,
A part of
there's
it.
nothing wrong with that, especially if there's been disclosure like there has been here. I mean, now,
I don't know
now
that
the
it was
board
clear.
itself could say, oh, we don't want to go along with that
Chairman Ellis was not on the evaluation committee either.
I didn't hear.
Chairman
No, but
Ellis,
somebody told him I had a whole lot to do with it.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say you said it, I said somebody, all right? And they're trying to muddy the water, that's what they're trying to do. That's what this is all about.
It's really discussing. the
Order
interest.
today being called, all
I-
right?
can
Please
I-
cast your vote.
Mr. Point of order.
Order today has been called.
Who called? You can't do that.
I did, why I can't?
You can't call for the question. The chairman can't call for the question.
Say again? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm glad you noticed. Thank you, Bob. Yes, sir.
Charles Ryan's here. I just want to know, I noticed that when you said that there'd be a lot of teams on there and it be negotiated during each project which team would be used. I want to know, does that mean that those teams get paid individually, or the city would still have to pay for kind of like the cost of other teams, even if they're not being used?
No, we will negotiate with the prime contractors, which is the AECon, H.J. Russell Group. We'll pay them as a group, and they're responsible for paying anybody they hire, but we'll have a contract and pay them.
Well, thank you.
All right, Dean, you had something?
Yes, sir. Did you state that the chairman was not on what did you say?
the evaluation committee,
He wasn't on the evaluation committee. Did he
didn't score the
at
proposals.
any point in time try to persuade the evaluating team how they should go in that direction?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I've said this a million times, something I learned early on. In politics, a lot of times, perception's greater than reality. Just recuse yourself and the rest of us vote the thing through if that's what our staff recommended there and move forward. And,
If they're gonna follow your recommendation, I would.
I mean,
Are they gonna follow your recommendation?
well, I would hate to get you to recuse and you lose by one vote. if
That's what I'm talking about.
But
Are they gonna follow your
I
recommendation?
have no idea.
The staff recommended this, the
Yeah,
chairman didn't
staff's
recommend this.
recommendation.
Are you all gonna follow that recommendation? That's all.
I call for the question.
All right, question has been called. All right? Please cast your votes. Commissioner Stone, how do you vote? It's been properly motioned and seconded. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but if I am a conflict of interest for using the same political consultant that you use, please note that.
No, we didn't
I
use the
appreciate
same.
her disclosing that, though.
We didn't use the same, political consultant, because I didn't use a political consultant.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right, I'm not there, so I'm
Okay.
just trying
Please,
to
the rest,
understand.
all right, please cast your vote. I'm waiting on the rest of you to vote. Everybody here has a vote. And Commissioner Stone votes yes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Attorney, as I stated, in reference to the recommendation that was, the reading or ruling, that was sent on April the 20th in reference to the Board of Commissioners having to be in person to vote. It is my understanding that we can be on a virtual call twice a calendar year, am I correct? Right, and with that, Commissioner Stone has exceeded those because records will reflect that on April the 4th of this year, she was attending the meeting virtually, and then on October 21st of this year, she attended virtually, thus exceeding that. So I think her affirmative vote wouldn't,
The effective date of the legislation was July 1.
but this came out in April 20th.
April, sure, that one, I was telling you what the law was gonna be and the opinion, so that you were aware that in the future, you're gonna be able to be there or not be there. Now, you got a July 1 start date on a piece of legislation unless it says something to the contrary, and I'm not aware that it does.
All right, thanks. I still think it's unfortunate that we don't disclose these things. That would've made it easier.
I didn't know you was gonna ask the question.
Well, no, not you. I'm talking about our chairman. Thank you for your opinion.
Waiting on two.
Commissioner, when the question's called
But
for, there was
the
no
only
more
thing you can do
discussion.
now is vote.
I don't think there's discussion.
There's
Yeah,
no
the only thing
discussion
you
after
can
the
do now is
question.
vote.
That's this whole thing.
The only thing you can do is vote.
Sorry, Gabe.
Check my button.
You voted a little while ago, didn't you?
Do you vote in the affirmative?
Oh, he had voted.
Oh, I can tell you how I
That
vote.
was not yours.
Well, my question.
You
I
can't
asked
ask a
earl-
question.
I raised my hand earlier, but
Yeah,
nobody
but
recognized.
he called for the question, so you don't have okay, question.
That's all.
Okay? All right. Pass, let's go, let's move on. Do I do this now, can I ask for an, amendment to the agenda? Yeah, but because of what we did, something else came up. So can I get a motion? Yes,
I'll
sir.
make a motion to amend the agenda to include
Right,
what?
personnel.
Personnel.
There a second? I second. All right, all those in favor of amending the agenda, is there a question? We go into personnel because of what we did in the first personnel, right?
You wanna go back to executive session, is that what you asked?
No, we don't have to go to executive session.
Well, what you,
What do you want to
asking for
discuss?
again?
Yeah.
What are you,
What are you, and you're amending it, the general category of personnel.
I wanna nominate I wanna take the internship off the manager's name.
Okay.
I thought we had to see the contract.
You don't wanna do that?
Well, I like
See the
to,
contract.
I got
why
you.
don't you explain what you, let's explain that a little bit better, what you,
Yeah, we need to see that
I
contract.
see what you're
before we-
trying to do, Mr. I think I got you. I'll ask you to make a friendly amendment, to your motion to, allow, the chairman, to negotiate a contract with Michael Kegler to be our county manager.
okay, I'll second.
Properly motion.
Okay,
Been properly motioned and second.
Well, no, I asked him to amend it. 'cause he-
Okay,
okay.
You accept the
And
amendment.
those,
Right.
that's, okay. That particular wording would allow the chairman to
negotiate.
negotiate it, but would the chairman then have to bring that contract back?
Yes.
for
Correct.
final approval?
Yes.
Correct.
Listen, until, okay.
Hey, I am just
I'm at
making
fault.
sure from
No, listen,
past,
I'm
since I've
at
been here
fault
100
because I
years, I've
thought
seen a lot,
everybody,
so-
I'm at fault because I thought everybody knew what the procedure was,
wasn't
okay?
quite clear. It wasn't
Now,
quite
here's what the procedure is. The chairman nominates a county manager, then enter in negotiations with our attorney and his attorney and whomever, her attorney, whoever's been nominated. We come up with a contract that comes before this board, then this board accept that or reject that. I'm sorry for not,
It should've,
I'm sorry for me thinking that you knew that okay? So now, do
Well,
you accept his
I
amendment?
think we all understand the process. sir.
Okay.
We've just seen the process go different ways.
Right.
Throughout time. But-
All right. So we
I
good?
will amend my motion to allow the chairman to negotiate a contract with Michael Kegler to become our full-time county manager.
I second the motion.
All right, it's been properly motioned and second that the chairman be given the authority to negotiate with Michael Kegler as our county manager. Are you ready for the question? Any more questions? Legally, I'm sound? Legally, I'm sound?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. you.
Legally, everything is good?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Ready to
Please
go?
cast your votes. Helen, how do you vote? I'm sorry,
Now,
Commissioner Stone.
Do I need to make the motion to allow it
How
now?
about,
Or that did it?
She votes yes. Okay.
yes.
Her phone is going in
Yes.
and out, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thank you.
Now do I need to make the motion to actually allow him to?
Yeah, that would be great too.
All right, now,
Okay.
Clarity purpose.
to make this legally correct here and stand up in a court of law, I now make a motion to allow the chairman to negotiate a contract with Michael Kegler to make him our full-time county manager.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are you ready for the question? You gotta clear it, Janice. All right, there you go. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Stone, you vote? I think. Is yes, okay. I hear you. All right. All right, we ready to move on now? No tables item. Oh, wait, on three.
Michael, you sure you
They
want to do
got,
that?
they got a problem with the lights. They got a problem with the lights down there, all right. Item for individual action. Request approval of the following budget amendment and transfer in SPOS. 3, transfer $3,502,728 from Eisenhower Road Project to 1 Chatham Drainage Projects. In 2, in the general fund, increase revenues and expenses, $50,000 in museum. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Probably motion is second that we approve. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Commissioner Stone, how do you vote? Yes. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we go to the action calendar. Nobody expressed anything about taking it off. Okay, anything off? Can I have a motion to accept the action calendar in its entirety?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Properly motion and second. All right, are you ready for the question? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Stone, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. Okay, all right, now, we have a first reader, and upon this first reader, we must have a public, part of it. Okay, so we'll, Mr. Manager, you will get ready to receive anyone who wants to speak on this petitioner. Tim, and if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please straighten me out. Is that Lango? Is proposing to rezone 2 parcels totaling 237 acres from RA residential agriculture to PUD, planned unit development. The subject property is located at the southern of Cartonville Road between Derrick's End Road and Lebanon Plantation Road in unincorporated Chatham County. The proposed master plan attached includes 290 single-family residents with amenities. The Plan Commission recommends approval. MPC file Z 0922-000314, District 5. All right, is there a motion? I'm sorry, we need to open, no motion. Yeah, this public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak on this item? In the public here today, is there anyone who wants to speak on this item? No one who wants to speak? All right, so we don't have to open or close the public hearing. Close the all right, let me have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, it's properly motion and second that the public hearing be closed. Now, this is the first reading for the commissioner?
You gotta vote.
No, you don't vote on first reading.
On the,
To close the hearing, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
The vote to close the hearing, right?
Right, 5-2, your button again? All right, and Commissioner Stone, you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. All right,
Count.
now. All right, the next one, we go from the first reader. All right, they'll have a second reader information item, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask, we want to give you a brief update on the status of the fire fee billing. I'm going to ask Ms. Kramer to, she's got some notes that she should have at your place, and I'm going to ask her to kind of go through those and we'll answer any questions that you may have.
All right, let me make sure, does everybody have your, folder on the fire fee? Okay, all right, come on, Ms. Kramer.
Okay. We gave you an update at the last meeting that we were getting a lot of phone calls. I know some of you've gotten a lot of phone calls too. We did set up a ring group here at the county where we actually had folks going downstairs into SEMA's office to catch calls right before Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, we set up this ring group to ring at different folks' desks. So we have, I think at this point, we have caught up on all those phone calls and talked with most of the people that have questions. And we were also getting a lot of emails. I think we're caught up on that as well, responding to that. Again, the most frequent question we have is, why do I send my payment to Wisconsin? And that is just because that's where the vendor is located that is doing the billing and collection for us, called LiveQuest. We have gotten about 600 appeals to the fire fee bill, and most of those appeals are related to the square footage on the property. And what will have to occur there is that the Board of Assessors will go through those appeals and actually, in many cases, send field personnel out to the properties to make sure and to verify the square footage. So we're in the process of working on that. I think there are also like 30 or 50 appeals that will come down to the county manager to look at and review. Some of those are just, I don't want to pay the fee, I don't think I should pay the fee, you know, that kind of thing. And we'll work through those. We also have extended the payment deadline through the middle of January, so people can make partial payments over the holidays on their bills and not incur a late fee. We have collected $4.6 million in revenue, which is about 34% of the bills. And last but not least, the magistrate court judge has some concerns about the impact on her court from the non-payment and appeals process. So we will be talking with her and bringing back some possible staff additions based on once we get an idea on the volume here. That's about it.
All right.
I'll take questions.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming. I
You
see
got a
it.
question?
Yeah, go ahead. Make sure your light is green.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name's Amira. I was wondering, is the fire fee for unincorporated Savannah? Okay.
Commissioner Milton, you had a question?
Yes, sir. One of my complaints, well, one of the complaints I have received has been.
One?
Yeah, well, it's been several of the same one,
Yeah.
which is, oh, you made me lose my train of thought.
That's all right, you'll be all right.
I have it
You
right
come
there.
back at it.
Yeah, it's the land that was not paid for is $100 now. That was one, but that's not the one I had on my head.
Well, yeah, we've had, the vacant parcels are $100, and any piece of land is $100. Now, if they appeal that, like one of the appeals we got on that was, well, this is just a big retainage pond. So that's one where we would probably recommend doing away with that.
Mine was the fixed income, the people that own fixed
Yeah.
incomes and can't
Right.
afford to pay.
We don't have an
And they've been
exemption.
threatened to put a lien on their property.
Well, we haven't threatened anybody.
The letter was,
We-
the
we
letter
have-
was threatening.
We have said, you can pay over a certain time period so they can break up their bill. But we don't have any kind of hardship
So
planned
the
right
process
now.
of putting a lien on the property,
I could speak to county attorney about that. And Andre's here.
In theory, if they send a bill, don't pay the bill, under the state law, a subscription fire department can lien the property. Probably, we're not gonna be doing a lot of that. We'll just go with a direct collection action against the party. And you need to understand, if we got people that have hardships, we're pretty good about working with them. And, maybe they have to pay it in 3 installments rather than one. So we just have to see what works. As long as people are working with us, we're happy to work with them.
And they will be, go to magistrate court. That'll be the first step. So I'm like the county attorney. We don't intend to put a lien on anybody's residence. Magistrate court will levy a fine. Our intent is not to, put a lien, levy a fine, anything. We just want you to pay the bill.
The bill went out, that's what the bill said.
Yeah.
The bill, and it was, most people that called me initially felt
Threatened, right.
Yes, they didn't like the tone. And we have a second billing going out for people who haven't paid. And so we put a little bit more information on that bill. Hopefully that will address some questions.
Did you put a phone number on there?
Yeah, I think we put a phone number on there.
Okay.
I think that was the plan.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Wiley?
All right, so my question as it relates to the appeals, is there like a set time frame, or are we giving them some sort of documentation that says, okay, hey, your stuff's in appeal, and with that being the case, stand by or something like that?
So what we generally do with the appeals is you have 30 days to appeal when you get your bill. The problem that we're getting is some people have gotten their bill in November, and the billing date says, I guess, October or something like that. So, but we're working with everyone that's gotten an appeal. We're allowing them to do the appeal. And then what'll happen is when they come to magistrate court, and they do have that right to do the appeal there again. So there's going to be enough time for them to do.
Got you.
Yeah, and I think we're cutting that off mid-January, actually.
The 17th, I think, was the
We extended that,
date.
yeah. we're cutting
Some people may
that
not have
off.
gotten their first bill. I've gotten a couple of emails about that. I never got my first bill, and I said, well, you'll get us, when we send out the second bill, you should be able to get it then, so.
All right, and then now as it relates to magistrate court, those costs, who's gonna be responsible for that?
So the way that it works is that they can't handle, it depends on how many of those cases we actually get. We don't know yet. If it's 20%, you're looking at 7,000 cases going through there. The magistrate court can't handle 7,000 cases on top of what they already have. So what we would do is we would probably get a pro tem. They usually sit for like $250 a day and handle those cases as expeditious as possible. I think I will be handling most of those matters as well. But the filing fee for when they don't pay the fine, it's semi-criminal, so those are free. We can actually walk those over to magistrate court, file them for free. The civil part costs money, so we will be spending about $125 to do it if we get the lien part, if we're going down the lien way. But in the end, if everything is approved and the county does win that case, the party who would be responsible for the bill would also be responsible for any attorney's fees and costs and court costs.
Okay. Another thing that, so with that one, I just want to say to my colleagues, I think we should really consider formalizing some of this language that we're talking about for future reference. But additionally, one thing that I do know is we left a lot of money on the table as it relates to commercial buildings. So how long, like basically, I'm assuming we're married to this year's bill?
Yes.
Okay. And then could we go ahead and start, taking some of the adjustments, or how about I say this? I am saying that we, as a commission, working with Chatham Emergency Services, will be tweaking the formulas as we see fit, as we see to be as equitable as possible and fair. So I wanted to put that out publicly because my phone's been blowing up too.
I've already drafted a version of an amendment to the ordinance that would bill specifically for businesses, apartment complexes, and so on. So that'll be presented to you when we look at this next year.
Yeah, Commissioner, that's one of the workshop items that we plan to address. I know all of you've gotten calls, and we do have some tweaking. And we knew the first year was gonna be something. It was gonna be difficult. We knew that. So when we get back together, all of the things that, didn't go well for us, we'll tweak it and then be prepared for next building cycle.
All right, you through?
You done?
Commissioner White, you through? Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a phone call as well. This young lady paid her fee, but now she's been told that by June, she has to pay another fee. Would you explain what they paid for and why they have to pay again in June?
Yeah, the service period on the bills that went out is July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So, next year, middle of the year, we will bill for the next fiscal year, which would be July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Thank you.
That's all it is. We were late getting the bills out,
Okay.
basically, because we didn't have any kind of way to get them out until we hired the vendor, so.
Trying to figure it out, we were
Sometime.
late getting it out. All right, that's all? Commissioner Farrell? I got you.
Yeah. Getting a lot of feedback on this. So one of the questions I've had was, what was the total amount that we billed out? Or is that a moving target?
I can get you that, I don't have it here. I mean, it's around $13 million, enough to cover the contract, so.
Okay.
The contract was 13.1 million. And I think we billed a little bit more than that because we had some admin costs to add in, like the vendor.
Yeah, that's, they want nobody here because
Yeah.
All right. Well, what was the budget for the fire department in 2021?
I think around 10 million was their operating budget.
Okay. So many of my constituents recall the conversation that if only the subscriptions could all be collected, everything would be fine at the fire department. Well, this looks like everything being collected would be 10 million, and we're billing 13 million, and there's a lot of people wondering why their bill is going up by very large percentages, some of them doubling and tripling.
Well, what we can tell you is the $10 million budget went up because of pay increases that they had to do at the fire department, just to keep staff, just like everybody else. We also have some funding in there for capital items, which, fire trucks, paying debt service, that sort of thing that was included in the contract. So it is not the same budget that it was 2 years ago, but we had to price it to, price the bills to go to the budget. Plus, I would say that their billing would not have covered their cost in any way, based on the information I've seen, that their billing was in fact too low to cover their costs to start with.
Well, I'd like a more, like I asked at the last meeting, a more detailed explanation for the general public and for the board members to understand why this concept of collecting all the fees that were put out there, all the subscription fees, would have solved the problem, and we're finding out that, people's rates are drastically, some people's, not all, but some are going up rather drastically, and there's a 13-point-something million increase. I think a lot of people would be interested in knowing a more thorough explanation, rather either from your staff or from the CES staff, or preferably a combination of both. No further questions?
All right, Commissioner Mills, do you have one? I'm coming. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to write things down because I have to remember. My question was, you mentioned the workshops, and I'm just wondering, are you gonna allow, or are you gonna provide a video or whatever you tell us, or are you gonna allow the public to come in?
It'll be a public workshop, Commissioner. We've got a number of things that we need to discuss, and they'll actually have two opportunities. We'll address it at the workshop when you establish how you want to build for next year, and then we'll also address it when CES comes up for the annual budget, because like any other county department, they're gonna have to stand before you and justify their budget like other departments, because essentially they're a county department now. So they'll have to do that. The manager make a recommendation like he normally does, but they'll have to come up and justify what they're requesting.
They also provide performance metrics in their contract, which, I would like them to come up and bring those to you as well. So you'll know, what they do, what the volume is, et cetera.
Thank you.
All right, got it? Now let me go to the sheriff.
Couple questions I want to answer is, Mr. Andre said they're gonna be over 7,000 cases in magistrate court. Is the company that's gonna collect the fees gonna handle that, or is the sheriff gonna have to handle that? No.
That'll be that fella right there.
The next thing is, if they're gonna levy on people's property, who's gonna do the FIFAs and who's gonna do the levying? Y'all putting more work on the sheriff's office.
Right.
About doing this stuff, about collecting these fees, which I don't have no problem with doing it, but, I'm 200 staff short right now, and you wanna put 7,000 cases more in magistrate court, and I don't have the deputies to do it, I don't have the deputies to do FIFAs and levies. So somebody hadn't thought about this very well. At this point of it, I'm getting into it. What's done before, I have no problem with. But you're talking about 7,000 pieces of paper that you gotta go serve on different people in this community. And then if I gotta go out and do a FIFA and a levy, who's gonna sell the property on the courthouse steps?
I think, Mr. Chairman, to answer the sheriff's question, those are good questions, and we haven't figured that out yet. I think Ms. Kramer's working with magistrate court. There's potentially going to be some additional expense for the sheriff's department, So, we know there's gonna be additional staffing, at least temporarily for this first year.
Budget for it,
And I can't even hire people now as it is.
budget for it.
Well, I mean, I can budget for it, but I mean, I can't.
But you gotta get the
body.
staff, I agree with you, Phil.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just didn't know if anybody had thought that for the end of it, towards the end of this thing, everything's been thought out to get to here, but, you know, you got a lot of moving parts in here that's got to be done, you know?
Right.
And I don't have but one a deputy to put in magistrate court, and she and I've already had a conflict about that. She ain't gonna hold no court unless she got two. Well, she ain't gonna hold no court then.
Okay. And let me say, as far as the staff is concerned, this is work in progress, and we're not making it up as we go. What we're trying to do is gather all that information so we'll know whenever we take that step, we're stepping in the right
And I'll be
direction.
glad to work with the county
All right,
manager and
yeah,
Miss Linda.
because it will come back to you, yeah.
We'll
All right.
include you in the next meeting with Judge Moss.
All right. Commissioner Rivers.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Part of my question was answered through Mr. Cagle, but, you know, I was wondering, what is the rate, what's the amount we're trying to get to as far as funding for the fire service?
Right now, it's a little over $13 million.
Okay, is there any, and the way we build is based on square footage?
Correct.
Is it an alternative way to deal with that as far as just a flat rate for everybody that would get us to that 30, to that?
I think we talked about that initially, and the equity in the flat rate, you know.
Because my concern is the cost of putting out a fire here, is it the same cost of putting out one here? Does it go by cost?
Well, we looked at, as Commissioner Milton said, it's a risk factor, but at the end of the day, no matter, we got a cost, we've got a budget we've
Right.
got to, so, and we're essentially backing into funding that.
Yeah, because this seems like a mess.
Well, we knew, I'll say it again, we knew this wasn't gonna be easy the first year. It's a different method of collection. We felt like it would be a lot better because the county has a lot more avenues through the courts to collect than CES did. So, you know, we'll be talking with you, and potentially some of the commissioners may come up with a different approach. But we will take the lessons learned, and we will, you know, try to come up with a better approach.
All right, anything else from there? Okay, let me ask all of you now, in your packet on the last item among our executive session, we did not discuss. There is information in the commissioner's room downstairs, okay, that you need to read about that, and then we'll bring that back up again before our next meeting. Yeah, but there's a packet down there that's in there that you need to get familiar with. Yeah, it was there, it's been there for a long time.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, but let me say it,
everybody looked at it.
I didn't want, I was trying not to bring that out, but you brought it out. You the only one who read it.
Yeah.
All right, we want the other commissioners to read it so they can make up a mind about things, all right? Anything else now? Listen, we enjoyed it. You all have anything y'all wanna say? Except for me taking you to CC's?
Charles had it.
Go ahead, y'all.
I just want to thank, on behalf of the whole Youth Commission, for providing us the funding to go to Kansas City for the NLC trip, National League of Cities.
Cities, yeah.
I learned a lot about leadership and kind of a little bit more about putting together conferences and putting together community programs. I also made a lot of other connections with youth commissions, like from Washington State. So it was a really nice endeavor. Just want to thank you all again.
We're glad you could go. We're glad to send you, all right?
And I'll give you my card. You sound like you did.
Anything else? May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Probably motion is second that we adjourn. Any questions? Please cast your votes. Is Commissioner Stone still there? Thank you so much. All right?
Commissioner Stone.
Okay.